My great heart, there are none on earth, there are none on earth. A new heart I will give, not stone, but one that frees. A new heart I will give, and one that frees. May this day make us strong, like a tree of life with good fruit. Bless us now, amen. Bless us now, amen. May we now forgive, atone that we may live. May we now forgive that we may live. Amen. Yehiyu laratzon imrefi, imrefi. Behegeyon libi lefanecha. Adonai, tsuri Adonai. Adonai, tsuri. V'go alai. V'go alai. Welcome, friends, new and old. Welcome to this shared journey of the Spirit. We are grateful you are here this morning. I'm Joel Miller. I am the interim minister here at the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. So pleased to welcome those who have come in person on a very rainy morning. It might have actually stopped just now. It's not too late then if you want to come in, if you're online. We're a community that looks for connections across generations, across beliefs, across life experiences. This is why we cherish the inspiration of the world's religions. This is why we cherish our elders and we cherish our children and youth. We're dreaming of the day when the cooing babies hear, sometimes the babies that wail a little bit, or maybe a lot. They will someday be teaching a new generation. They will someday be our activists for justice. They will someday be caring for us when we are hurt and healing, or they will be singing and speaking to raise our spirits, just as our elders have been now for generations. If children, youth, or their families have questions about our religious education programming, Nick Wallwork is our Director of Religious Education. And while he's off this morning, he will definitely be here next Saturday, along with me, to talk about how our religious education programming is shifting a little bit this fall. And next Sunday, when we begin our religious education programming for our Sunday mornings for the rest of this year. Choir rehearsals have begun also after the summer break. And our music director, Michael Rosen, here would be glad to talk with you about that. If you have questions about your contributions or questions about the congregational calendar or would like to put something on the calendar, please talk to our congregational administrator, Katie Julich. She's here weekdays from 9 until 3. And I am so glad that she's the person who organizes things and keeps things on the calendar and does the books. Because if it were me, well, I'll explain later. We're talking about Yom Kippur this morning as Unitarian Universalists. This evening, actually, at 6 p.m., we have a Unitarian Universalist Yom Kippur service itself, and all are invited to attend to that. We have a lunch bunch that meets after the service. It's at Cottage 2. All are welcome to join that. Who do we talk to? Somebody here?
It's usually Carolyn Schwartz.
Usually Carolyn Schwartz, yeah. She's maybe not here yet. So as I mentioned, next Saturday, a Faith Formation Stations and Spirit Play Preview, 2:30 to 4 o'clock on the second floor. Nick Wallwork will be here. I will be here. Next Sunday, after the service, there's a special presentation of our Odyssey project, the early years of the fellowship. Not next Sunday. It's the 8th. Thank you. It does say the 8th here. Again, why I'm not the bookkeeper. Meals with UU friends. 23-24 this year. Please use the link in the weekly blast. You can sign up, get to know folks, get to know each other better. We have the service auction coming up. That is a lot of fun. Saturday, November 4th at 5 p.m. Mark your calendars. I hope you'll be here. And tomorrow, on the 25th at 6 p.m., there is a Gammick Muff Potluck Party. This has been a welcoming congregation for lesbian, gay, transgender, queer, bisexual folks, asexual folks. Has been now for 3 decades. And there's a potluck tomorrow with Gammick, which is the organization that meets here and is active in supporting LGBTQ community and folks. And now a special announcement from your Ministerial Search Committee.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brooke Donaldson, and I am serving on the Ministerial Search Committee. And a few things to mention. First off, thank you, everyone, for participating to the survey, and giving us your honest feedback and hopes and dreams for the future. One thing I would like to note is that we are 5 people away from 60%. So if there are 5 surveys out there that we can please collect, I see 1 in the air, perfect. We are 4 people away from 60%. So if you have not yet completed your survey, please, if you need any assistance, Carol Todd is out in the hall, in the Great Hall, but you can also use that link still online, preferably by 3 p.m. today, which is our next meeting to go over the survey. But we will accept them. That 60% is really important for us. The other thing that I wanted to share in regards to the survey was we received some feedback about the demographics, and we just wanted to explain why the demographics were collected. We actually used a template survey, which was produced by the UUA for all congregations in search. And that template, we made a few modifications to it, but really that demographics section was provided from the UUA, and that's an important thing to collect so that a minister knows identities, economics, the community that they're looking to serve. So I just wanted to put that out there. We really thank you for giving us your very personal information, and if you didn't, that's also fine. We just appreciate you doing the survey. The last thing is that I still do have chocolate, so hopefully everyone can get more chocolate this week. And the next thing that we have coming up is something.
Cottage cheese.
Oh, no.
No, I got all kinds of cottage cheese. I got bowl and basket. I got daisy. I figure we need a diversity of cottage cheese.
No, Nan. Bless your heart, Nan. It is not cottage cheese, cottage meetings.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. See where the confusion is? So, they can be lactose free, these cottage meetings. They can be. So, cottage meetings, thank you, Nan. We'll be here next Sunday, too. So the cottage meeting, some people might not know what this is. And I like to think about it as a service auction event you don't have to pay for. So it is a gathering of all your closest friends at someone else's home. Also, we can do these at Muff. There are some scheduled for Muff, and online if that's easier for you. And essentially, you're going to get snacks, like maybe some drinks, maybe some cookies, light snacks. Again, we're not paying for it. It's not truly a service auction event, but a really awesome gathering of all of our closest friends and community members to talk about our hopes, dreams, aspirations for the minister, the direction we want this congregation to go. So these are really, really important. We have worked so hard with so many very generous hosts. Many of you have opened up your homes to, in various demographic, geological regions so that you can all attend. So please sign up for those. You can sign up online on Realm. Again, Carol Todd is still out there. You can see her. And if you are feeling so gung-ho today, Nan and Barbara, I think, are hosting one right after the service, 11:45 upstairs in the dining room. You don't even have to do the stairs. All right. So, and again, if you ever have any questions, please reach out to any of us on the Ministerial Search Committee. Thank you very much. And get your chocolate.
I love chocolate. I invite you now to join me in this morning's affirmation as we light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. It is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
traditional Hebrew response, tune and text. Hashivenu, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha venashuva, venashuva. Cause us to return unto you, O God, or O Creator that has created, and we will be returned. Renew our days of old. For this Yom Kippur, New Year's celebration. I'm going to play it through, and we can all sing, and I'll keep playing the piano, and then you all just keep repeating it. We're going to do it. It's in a moving 6/8, so it's going to be, it feels like you're tapping your foot to 2. Like...
I have a story this morning for the time for all ages. Is anybody feeling young at heart? You want to help me tell the story? Kids are welcome to come up. Youth, welcome to come up. Oh, look, here we go. Come on up. I'm so glad to see you. Come on and sit with me. Thank you. Good morning. So this evening begins a special Jewish day called Yom Kippur, and it means the day of recovering or reconnecting. And it's the end of 10 days that are called the days of awe, although in Hebrew, sometimes you might want to translate that the original words as in the Hebrew are Yamim Noraim. And it's not really quite awe as it is. Well, have you ever heard the term go with the flow? Just kind of let things, when life is flowing and everything seems to be in place. So Yamim Noraim is almost like getting life back into place so it's all flowing, that you aren't feeling stuck anywhere. So the story that's traditionally told on Yom Kippur is Jonah and the whale. And I love this story. I love to tell this story because, well, Jonah's at home. He's with his family. And suddenly Jonah hears, he's in a conversation with God, which is a big surprise to Jonah. God says to Jonah, I want you to go to Nineveh. There's people there and they're being mean to each other. And they don't have to live the way they're living. If they would just be kind, if they would just if they would pay attention to when they're hurting each other. And Jonah's like, I don't want to go to Nineveh. God says, Jonah, you're the person to do this. Please go to Nineveh. Jonah goes to his partner and says, I just heard from God. God said I should go to Nineveh and be like a prophet, one of those people that says, you have to repent, you have to be nicer to each other. I don't want to go. Jonah's partner said, you heard from God, you should go to Nineveh? You have to go. You can't not go. It's important. Jonah was not happy. He did not want to go to Nineveh. And even more, he really didn't want to be telling people what they should or shouldn't be doing. It's really not his thing. But his partner said he should go. So he went down, all the way down to the seaport, down out of the hills where he lived, through town, right to the edge of the sea. And he saw where the boats were and went to the boats. And he went up to one boat and he said, I'm looking for the boat that goes to Nineveh. And one of the sailors said, well, the boat to Nineveh, I think so, down there just came in. You're in a good time to go. And he said, where are you going? We're going to Tarshish. Can I go with you? I thought you were going to Nineveh. No, I'm going to go to, I'm just going with you. He gets on the boat. The boat starts to sail in the sea. All of a sudden, a big storm comes up. The captain says, throw the cargo off. These waves are too big. We'll sink if we don't throw it off. They're throwing all the cargo off of the ship. And the captain sees Jonah, who's hiding down in the bottom of the boat. And the captain says, help us move the cargo off. We're going to sink. We'll all die if you don't help. And Jonah says to the captain, this is my fault. I was supposed to go to Nineveh. You're the guy who's supposed to go to Nineveh? Yeah. This is my fault. Captain was really exasperated, just like, why didn't you go to Nineveh? And Jonah says to the captain, you have to throw me off the boat. The captain's like, I'm not throwing you off the boat. He says, the storm will keep coming. I'm supposed to go to Nineveh. The captain dragged Jonah up to the top of the top deck and said, he was supposed to go to Nineveh. And they're like, yeah. He says we should throw him off the boat. What do you think? Yeah? Into the water he goes. And they knew they'd done the right thing, because that's almost never the right thing to do. But in this case, a big whale came up and went, and swallowed Jonah. Jonah's in the belly of a whale, a big giant whale. Now, can you imagine what it must be like in the belly of a big giant whale? Lots of dead, stinky fish. You ever smelled fish when it's really much too old? Never mind in the belly of a whale. It smells really bad. It smelled really bad. Jonah's in the belly of the whale. He said, I'm so sorry. I know I should have gone to Nineveh, but... Finally, after 3 days and 3 nights, stinky fish, dark belly of the whale, he says, I'll go to Nineveh. Just let me out of this whale. And all of a sudden, the whale goes up onto the beach of the sea, opens its mouth, and barfs him out. Blah! And it really says that in the Bible, barfs him out. I love to tell that part of the story. There's a Hebrew word for barf. Go figure. He's covered with stinky, rotten fish bits. He smells terrible. He looks even worse. He goes up to Nineveh. There it is. He walks up the hill, through the city gates. The guards are looking at him as he walks through the city gates of ancient Nineveh, and they're like, oh, what happened to you? And he said, I was swallowed by a whale because I was supposed to come here and tell you about, well, you know what you're doing. You know, the other day, you, for example, you were mean to your neighbor and you slammed your door in your neighbor's face, and you took your neighbor's pot. The guards and the people of Nineveh were like, what? Is he a prophet? Somebody said, he smells like rotten fish. He's got to be a prophet. Soon the king and the queen heard about this, and they came down to see this person who was making prophecies, as they say. He was telling the people that they should live better. And they came down. They could smell him even before they saw him. And there he was. And the king, he said, you chose something that was easy for you, but wasn't good for your city or your people. And the king and the queen looked at the king like, you think? And the king said, you're right. And the king took off his fancy robes. The queen took off her fancy robes. They got into old clothes. Everybody in town got into old clothes, and they spent the day thinking about how they could be better neighbors, better friends, better family. Jonah was really surprised. He said, oh, that was way too easy. God, smite them. Shoot them with thunderbolts. And God said, they're people. You should destroy the town, God. And God said, what, destroy the town? These people, they're children. They have cows, they have cats and dogs. I'm not going to kill for this. Then kill me, God. God doesn't even say anything back to Jonah. The story ends right there. God doesn't kill Jonah, I don't think. But it's kind of surprising. I think the story leaves us there at the end, not knowing what happens next. Maybe because in some ways we're ourselves in the belly of a whale at the moment. Thank you for coming up and helping me tell the story for today. I invite you to go back and sit with your families, your friends. This is the time of milestones, passages, gratitudes. It's a time we remember how important it is to be in community, to share our lives together so that we need not experience life alone or experience a sense of having to be isolated. We often share milestones, passages, gratitudes. And at times when the congregation itself has lost members who have been important in the life of the congregation, we light these candles. This candle for Marcia Ivins, who died on the 17th of September. She was beloved by many people here, and there will be a memorial on Sunday, October 8th at 11:30. This second candle, I can't light it on fire because it has a battery in it. But it does have a picture of Kathleen Taggart on it. And Kathleen Taggart was a fixture here. She made coffee hour possible for many years. She was arranged for ushers. She helped with the newsletter. This was Kathleen's home. You were her people. And no one would be surprised to hear me say that she could be really difficult. I had the privilege and the honor yesterday to lead the memorial service for her last night. She knew she was loved by you. Donna Best has a joy, also in this time of milestones. Donna and Scott Best's late and tremendously great uncle, Professor Jerry Meyer, will be recognized with a plaque in his honor, naming him and his much-admired 7-term New York City Congressman Vito Martintonio. Thank you. Both were lifelong avid supporters of the working class, the poor, immigrants, labor unions, civil rights. The 1911 fire at Triangle Shirtwaist Company, widely considered a pivotal moment in history. So they worked to strengthen union worker rights, union platforms, transformation of the labor code, and it served as a model for the whole country. The memorial will be unveiled Wednesday, October 11th at 10 a.m. at the building site for anyone interested in attending. Mary Ann and Tim Mastick have a joy. Alan, who is 3.5 years old, has been loving pre-K with Miss Holly, and Elliot has 2 bottom teeth that just popped through. Congratulations, Elliot. Jonathan and Susan Jeans want to thank everyone who helped pull off a wonderful harvest dinner. The Jeans have been putting on this amazing dinner every year, and I got to go just this last week. If you were there, you know there were a lot of people at this dinner, and there was amazing food. And as people were just arriving, the kitchen sink broke, and then the bathroom sink was plugged and also not usable. So there was filling of pitchers in the bathroom in order to have kitchen water. Susan reports that the kitchen was fixed but the next day, and the bathroom was done by the next Tuesday. Whew. So grateful for the Jeans and their celebration of the community together. There's so many of you that provide opportunities to get together, get to know one another, to be the kind of community. Well, this is the kind of community I've learned that you are. And this is a gratitude for this fellowship and for you, the people of the fellowship. As I mentioned, this candle on the chalice table today for Kathleen. And one of the things about Kathleen was she often wondered if she was loved, but she knew, at least in the time that I knew her, she knew she was loved by you. It was a very moving experience to learn that about you. It's one of the reasons, I now know one of the most profound reasons you are here. You are here to love each other and to love this world. I'm so grateful for you, and I admire you so much for that. Please join me in a spirit of meditation or prayer or contemplation. I invite you to Sit comfortably. Remember to breathe. Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of generosity. We give thanks for this community and for the many lives here and for the memory of Marcia Ivins and Kathleen Taggart. And now as we draw near to quietness, a part of ourselves that lives quietly, that sees quietly. May we be open enough to remember the choices we make, the sacred choices we make, each minute, each hour, each day, all that eventually add up to a lifetime and that add up to community. I invite us to remember, here is a place we seek to find forgiveness and seek to understand how we may forgive ourselves for what we have done in the past, thoughts or actions that have harmed ourselves, that have harmed others or the world. Because here we are, a place to begin again with love. As we are forgiven, let us also open our hearts to forgive others, to pray or contemplate or imagine them also in well-being and joy. To imagine they too, like us, can be lifted from worry and burden into peace and abundance. May we continue to be blessed with riches of the Spirit and blessed with the love that we share with one another. For love, for peace, forgiveness, these people, our lives, this community. We give thanks. Amen. So be it. Blessed be.
Those who would like to stand or who are willing and able. This is a beautiful old chant set to a wonderful poem by Anna Akhmatova that is meant for our beautiful autumnal equinox, which just passed a few days ago, of remembering the days and the year and those we have lost in the images of the falling leaves, the September willows, and the autumn jars. It's a chant tune, so it's a little free from verse and tempo. So I'm going to play it through, and then we'll sing it with you. But I'll play the whole thing once through, and then we'll sing the 3 verses. All my memories of love hang upon my songs. All the souls I lost to tears, now the autumn jars. And the air around me here fills with their song. Sing again their nameless tunes. Sing again.
I invite our member Pat De La Fuente to come to the pulpit now.
Marcia Ivins was a member of this fellowship who moved to Cedar Crest when she realized that she had serious health issues and they could provide the support she needed. She'd been part of Sunday services here. She was a gifted poet, and I would like to gift you again with one of her poems published in the publication From Cedar Crest. It's called Forced Relaxation. Strange sensations for me. Appreciate the beauty of the surroundings, the sound of the water as the boats pass by the house. A day in the country with two friends, lunch, a nap in silence, so strange to me. At home, I urge myself to be busy, to accomplish something, anything, to not waste a precious moment. But here, the doing nothing is forced relaxation, a precious lesson.
Yom Kippur, we are singing a beautiful anthem now and tonight, Oseh Shalom, which is Hebrew for the one who makes peace. Oseh Shalom b'imromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu. The one who makes peace in the heavens, make peace for us and for all of Israel. And let us say, Amen.
This evening at sunset begins the last day of the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe that began with the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and end tomorrow with Yom Kippur. Rabbis have written for thousands of years that the gates of heaven open on Rosh Hashanah, and during the 10 days that follow, it's an opportunity for each of us to write a new chapter for our lives in the great book of life that's kept in heaven. And we do that by seeking forgiveness and giving forgiveness, and then finally on Yom Kippur, by seeking atonement with all that is holy. And they point out to receive forgiveness, one is obligated to forgive. And that to practice forgiveness also requires one to change one's way of doing things so that one doesn't continue to cause the harms one needed to be forgiven for in the first place. I really love the way that we use these words both in Hebrew and English. Atonement, in English the word literally means at one-ment, to be at one again with all that is holy, or with each other, or perhaps with a partner, or family member, or friend, or neighbor. In Hebrew, the word kippur means to cover, which for me really works very well because I'm in a program of recovery from addiction. And so Yom Kippur, for me, almost reminds me of having a special day in the year that's a day of recovery. And what is central to that but practicing forgiveness, granting it, and seeking to be at one with all that is holy, however I understand that, or for you, however you might understand that. And one of the things I've understood from my own recovery is that what is most corrosive to my own soul, my own sense of well-being, is when I've caused harm to others and I have not made amends for the harm I've caused. That's when the flow of my life is broken. As I was saying earlier to the children who came up and helped me with the Time for All Ages, when the flow of my life seems to be going down into a kind of rabbit hole, if you will, and just disappearing, I know it's, I'm angry, or I'm avoiding dealing with that hard thing I might have said to someone I care about, or I'm resentful, and the flow of my life has disappeared. And the wisdom of Yom Kippur then returns. I can heal my heart and my soul again. I make amends to those I've hurt, maybe to myself, to all that is holy. To do that, that's why I loved that poem that Pat spoke with me about this morning, because on Yom Kippur, for a Jew, one doesn't eat, one doesn't engage in sex, one doesn't work, but one stops. It's kind of that stopping, forced relaxation, if you will, because then one can pay attention. What is it that's blocking my life? But as I think about forgiveness also, there are times I think forgiveness is too much to ask. There are times when forgiveness, instead of being a way to deliver us from being covered in rotten and smelling fish guts, puts us in the belly of a whale. Author Ellis Coase once asked John Lewis, the congressman from Georgia and the great leader of the civil rights, one of the great leaders of the civil rights movement, how he, as a leader, had avoided being consumed by rage because he was protesting and advocating for the same civil rights for black Americans that white Americans were getting, for all Americans. over and over again would be beaten by racist policemen, especially in the Jim Crow South. Lewis answered like the seminary graduate he was and said, if you believe there's a spark of divine in every human being, you can't get to the point where you hate someone, even if they beat you. You have to have the capacity to forgive. He had a remarkable capacity. And at the same time, I have talked about forgiveness from a pulpit before and found it myself saying it and saying it in a way that it sounds too easy when I've looked back on it, especially since the advent of feminism in the last century. It's so important to see that forgiveness should not be forced. I have seen too many times, even in my own experience as a Unitarian Universalist minister, how women can be especially vulnerable to that spiritual coercion. You should forgive. And then find themselves, because of that perceived need to forgive, caught in a cyclic trap of violence where someone they love commits violence against them. She forgives too quickly, and the cycle just continues. Forgiveness, when it's forced, it's not a blessing and can even be destructive. You know, it's like this. We have these wonderful children here in the service, and I'm thinking about a time when I was on the playground and watching with a very young child and watching some parents, and two of their children had gotten into an altercation. One had taken a toy from another, and the one parent was saying, "You say you're sorry," and the other parent saying to the other kid, "You say okay, and it's okay to share that toy." Both of the kids did not look happy. They were not actually practicing forgiveness. They were like, "I forgive you," and they're thinking in their head, "I hate you." Feminism calls us to hold each other to good and equitable, fair standards. We can't force forgiveness, not from a woman or a man or a child or a non-binary person. Just we forgive because it frees us in some way. Or we do not forgive because it frees us in some way. So this is the tension I'm living with as I think about this particular story that I want to close with today. Ellis Coase also, as he writes about forgiveness, talks about the day Azim Khamisa learned his son had been killed. Khamisa returned from a business trip. The police were trying to contact him. They told him his son had been killed. Khamisa didn't believe it, not until he called his son's home and spoke with his son's bereft fiancée. Could he finally believe that it had happened? His son had been delivering pizza. Gang members who placed a phony order waited for him. The 18-year-old gang leader ordered a 14-year-old boy named Tony to shoot Khamisa's son. Khamisa recalls wanting to die himself, and then he was enraged, consumed with rage, but his faith as a Muslim changed his reaction when he saw how he was reacting, what he was feeling, and what he was doing with his feelings. His faith advised him to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness? Khamisa's faith warned him that his life would forevermore be shaped by how he responded to this terrible loss. And what Khamisa wanted more than anything was his son's life to rise above the meaningless, random tragedy that it was. He was angry, and he did not forgive, interestingly enough, not the 14-year-old Tony who did the shooting, but at his country for producing an 8th grader who would shoot someone and kill them. Khamisa, though, chose not to live by his rage. And he was surprised that in making this choice, he was feeling compassion even for Tony, that 14-year-old boy. So he met with Tony, and he developed a relationship with Tony and with Tony's grandfather and guardian, plus Felix. And as he got to know Felix, he realized Felix was nearly as traumatized by his grandson's choices as Camisa himself was by the death of his son. And then they began appearing on stage together, traveling together, promoting nonviolence, living their lives as a testament to, well, at least atonement, if not forgiveness. It was the most American thing for Camisa to do. He started a foundation and named it after his son. And the foundation helped him and Felix speak in schools, explaining to other teens where their opportunities were and how their deeds can have consequences. Camisa said to the author of the book, Coase, that his outreach to his son's killer was an act of self-preservation. His faith as a Muslim warned him about the soul-draining power of rage, and he listened. And I confess that the first time I read this story for myself, I was grateful for the wisdom within it, and that came to better understand the wisdom within Yom Kippur itself, a day to stop, to be mindful, to be open, to choose at least atonement, perhaps forgiveness if it's appropriate. I can understand how anger or even rage can come out of us. It's just feeling. They're feelings, and feelings are just feelings. I've had losses, harms, all of us have. But in following the teachings of truly all the religions, they call us not to feed the rage, but to nurture and care for the life that we love, even when it is lost, and our anger and rage as a result of those losses. Azim Camisa used his anger, but for the best good he could imagine, for love, to make the world a better place. He focused his rage on something he could change, which was his response to it, to love and nurture the people in the world and the people he loved most, his family, and as it turned out, even Tony and Tony's grandfather. And on a day like this, it doesn't matter what you believe. Maybe you believe in God, maybe you believe in goddess, or maybe you're an atheist, or you don't know, or atonement is a universal spiritual practice. The gentle practice of forgiveness, when it is a healing thing to do, can allow our lives to flow freely, allow wonder to re-enter our lives, and for us to find joy. And this is why I am so glad to be a part of this community, to see how you love and cherish across differences, across hurts and harms even. Reconnecting, loving again and again. What better reason to be in community and show the world that peace and love is possible? May your aspirations of love be your guide in the year to come. May you find forgiveness and grant it whenever possible. And may atonement always be near, always be part of life and practice. Your love has been beautiful. Let it continue to be beautiful. Thank you. Go in peace, be in peace.